Hello students, we will study chapter electromagnetic induction today. These are topics we are going to cover in this video. Let us start with the magnetic flux. What is magnetic flux? Magnetic flux through any surface is the number of field lines passing normally through surface. Remember, the lines must pass normally to the surface. The formula is given as d phi is equal to b vector dot ds vector, or you can say bds cos theta. Let us understand how this formula came. We have taken a small area, that is ds. Area of vector is given by n cap, normal to the area. B vector is at angle theta with the area vector. So what we do, we have taken the vector b vector component, cos component, which is along n cap, that is b cos theta. The multiple of b cos and ds magnitude, that is what? Total flux passing through the surface. And cos is nothing but dot product, so we take as a b vector dot ds vector. The cos values are 0, negative or positive at different angles. So range is mentioned here. It is positive in the first and fourth quadrant, 0 at 90 and 270 degree, negative in the second and third quadrant. Some more points about magnetic flux. Dot product is a scalar product, so magnetic flux is scalar. SI unit is given generally Weber, but the other also one more term is that it is Tesla meter square. How it came? It's simple. Flux is given as B into S, that is field into area. So field unit is Tesla, area unit is meter square. So Tesla meter square also is one of the unit of magnetic flux. CGS unit is Maxwell. The relation between SI and CGS is Maxwell equal to 10 power minus 8 Weber. Some more way we can say the magnetic flux. The other terms, similar terms are flux density, strength of magnetic field, magnetic induction. Okay. Now we have to know about the Faraday's law in this chapter. It is the main topic, electromagnetic induction, that is Faraday's law. Faraday's law depends on change in flux. So how flux can be changed? Let us understand that. We know the formula phi equal to BA cos theta. So from the formula we can know flux depends on three parameters: B, A, and theta. So by changing B, we can change flux, that is magnetic field intensity, the first point. By changing area, we can change the flux, that is second point. By changing angle, that means orientation, we can change the flux, that is third point. And fourth point states that any of the two out of three, we can change the flux. Means not necessarily only one parameter must change, more than one parameter also we can change the flux. Okay. So let us start with the Faraday law now, understand how Faraday law is been proved. Faraday, to explain his law, he performed certain experiments. Okay, so let us understand how the experiments were done and what are the results, observations of the experiment. There are three cases here: A, B, and C. In the A case, you can observe magnet is moving towards coil. B case, magnet is moving away from the coil. In C case, magnet is stable. A case, if you see, when magnet is coming closer, its north pole is moved towards the coil. So the current is induced such a way that north pole, same pole is formed towards the magnet. Direction is anti-clockwise. B case, when this opposite thing is done, magnet is taken away from the coil, the north is taken away from coil, so the opposite pole means south pole is formed. And the current direction is opposite, means clockwise. This is very important. Why directions are changed, that we'll discuss later. There is one law, Lenz's law, we'll discuss in that. Third case, neither coil is moved nor the magnet, both are stable. So there is no change in the current. There is no current only, actually, zero current. So what we observed from this thing, these three cases, You can read the points. In general, I am saying what the 4 points mean. The main point is simple, that we have observed that whenever magnet moves, whenever magnet has a relative motion with the coil, then the current is induced or the EMF is induced in the coil, else not. These are observations. What are conclusions? Conclusion is simple. Magnet is moving relative to coil means flux is changed linked to the coil. So from this is clear that flux change is must, because stable magnet will give presence of flux but will not induce current. So presence of flux will never prove the induction of current, but the changing flux is important for the induction of current. Secondly, the important point is the relative velocity also matters here. More the speed, higher the EMF is induced. Fine. This was the first experiment. Now we'll come on the second experiment. In this, nothing they have done. The only thing they have changed is, instead of magnet, they have taken a current carrying loop. Just to understand whether if we change the source, magnetic fields are there, flux is there, but if we change the source, will have the same effect or not. So if you see here also they have moved secondary coil. This is primary coil, this is secondary coil, primary and secondary. Secondary coil is moved. Primary is stable. Primary is producing current, is producing magnetic field. When the coil is moved towards, in the first case, this one, when coil is moved towards, same pole is formed. Similar observations as in the case 1 or the experiment 1 was. When the coil was moved away, opposite pole was formed. North pole was induced because we were taking away from the south pole. Again, directions are there, but the main thing is that we are moving it. There is a relative motion, there is a change in flux. Again, there is an induction of current. But direction is opposite as per the relative motion. If it's moving towards, same polarity is there. If it's moving away, opposite polarity is induced or formed. So, from the two experiments, Faraday gave two laws. The first one states that it gives a condition when will be EMF induced. The condition is that whenever magnetic flux linked to the coil or the circuit changes, EMF is induced across it or the current is induced. Fine. Second law is a mathematical equation giving the value how much EMF will induce. Here capital E is EMF, not the electric field, remember. So second law states that the induced EMF is proportional to rate of change of magnetic flux. That is E proportional to d phi by dt. If you change to the equal to sign, minus k comes, k is a constant, value is 1 in the SI scale. So further if you go is minus d phi by dt. If I take for the big change, it is phi 2 minus phi 1 by t. If there is a n turns in the coil in which current is induced or EMF is induced, it is n d phi by dt. Now what the minus sign shows? It's a very important point here. My negative sign shows that the induced EMF opposes change in flux. You might have observed in the experiment 1, north and north were formed when it was taken closer. So obviously induced EMF opposes the changing flux. So it's not allowing to come closer, it is repelling it. Okay, next. How to find direction of now? That is the main point. Why when it comes closer forms same poles, or why when it goes away, when the magnet is moved away, form opposite poles. So Lenz's law is a method to find direction of the induced current or EMF. As per you see, direction, Lenz's law what it says, direction of induced EMF or induced current such that it opposes its own cause, or you can say opposes the change that produces it. This is a very important thing, and we'll do some numericals later. There's many numericals which are very important. Mostly 1 or 2 questions are covered every year in the exam. So we'll do later about that. One more question very important which comes in the board is Lenz's law as per law of conservation of energy. This we'll discuss it next slide. I have taken the same picture of experiment 1. When north is brought closer, north is formed. When north is taken away, south is formed. When it is stable, there is no current induction. Now actually, why north is formed here? What is Lenz's law? The induced current opposes its own cause. If I take for this coil, what is the cause of current induction, induced current? That is a movement of magnet. So the current in this will oppose movement of magnet. So magnet is coming closer, it will try to oppose it. Opposite means repelling means same polarity. It will form north pole for the north. This case if you take here, second one, magnet is going away. Again the induction is there because going away means flux is decreasing. So the induced current will oppose the movement of magnet, means it will try to attract it. So north pole is going away, the face will form here south pole. This is Lenz's law. These are some more relations. Just you have to keep remember that. There are three things here: EMF induced, current induced, and total charge. Charge flowing through the current conductor, coil. This is Faraday's first law, d phi by dt. This one we have got from the Ohm's law. We know very well Ohm's law is I equal to E by R. So if I put value of E from the Faraday's law, I'll get here minus d phi by R dt. And current value is nothing but rate of flow of charge, means dq by dt. So it will get here dq equal to minus d phi by R. What is important thing in these three equations if we compare? Except EMF, current and charge both depends on resistance. EMF induced do not depend on resistance. It depends on the flux change per time. Okay. Now we have understood that EMF depends on the flux. Depends on the changing flux, not flux, changing flux. So we have to understand now how flux can be changed. I discussed before also, flux can be changed by three parameters: B, A, and theta. Let's go on one by one this, okay? First case, B. By changing B, we can change EMF. There is no derivation in your course, but there are certain numericals which you can easily get in the NCERT exemplars and exercise that you can solve it by. How area can be changed? Let's see that. Now, we have taken a magnetic field which is normally inward to the plane, to the board. One rectangular loop, that is PQRS. PQRS. This loop is moved by v velocity inward to the field. So suppose next position of the loop is P dash, Q dash, R dash, S dash. So here if you see, the loop area is not changing, but the loop entering inside, so flux linked to the area is changing. It's increasing. Changing also, but it is increasing mainly. Length of the loop, this width, which is constant throughout while entering inside, is L. And the length of loop which is inside the magnetic field, that is V dt. We know speed is equal to distance by time. So dx can be V dt. So what will be area? Area will be L V dt. So flux is B dot A, that is B vector dot dA vector. The value they have replaced, dA is LV dt. Angle is 180. How 180? Here field is normally inward, and the area what we have taken, if we take the direction of the area, that is normally outward. So they are opposite to each other, so angle is cos 180. What will be flux? Minus BLV dt. Now by Faraday's law, E is equal to minus d phi by dt. If you replace value of d phi, which is also negative, you'll get the answer final as E equal to BLV. This one is known as motional EMF. This equation and this method known as motional EMF. Direction of current you can see in this, that is anti-clockwise direction. This direction you can find easily by the Lenz's law. Let us understand that also together, because already we have understood Lenz's law how it is. Here area is increasing because loop is entering inside, so area which coming under the field is increasing, flux is increasing. When flux increases, what happens actually? The same polarity is formed. So the field here is normally inward, that means north pole is above the board. Same polarity means this phase will have north pole. North pole means current will be anti-clockwise direction. So you can see here the current is shown in the anti-clockwise direction. There is one more method, one more condition for motional EMF. That is a part of example in your NCERT that I have explained here. Here, instead of taking a rectangular loop, what we are doing, we have taken a rod, that is OP rod here, a metallic rod. Here also field is normal inward, and this rod is rotated in anti-clockwise direction from P point to Q point. Okay, and the angular speed of this rod to rotate is suppose omega. So you can see the angle swept in certain time t is theta equal to omega t. That's angular speed, you know, angle by times, angle is omega t. Now we have to find EMF induced across the rod. Across rod means it will be at these 2 points, at the one end, at the other end, at center means. We have known from the previous derivation that EMF is given as B, L, V. Now if I take small part of the conductor, that small part is suppose dr, the small EMF induced dE will be B dr V. This term you can find it here. Now we have to find for the whole rod how much EMF is induced at the ends O and P point. So we integrate this. So on integrating this part here, on integrating we'll get here B V dr. And what are the limits for this? That is 0 from center to the radius or the length of the conductor, that is capital R. Now V is given as omega R. So we'll get here integration 0 to R B omega R dr. B omega is constant, that will be outside integration. R integration is R square by 2, and if you put the limits, we'll get the final answer as BR square by 2. So the final answer what we get here is half B R square omega. This is also known as motional EMF, but a special case when we rotate a rod in magnetic field. Let's come on the next topic now. There are two methods to find direction of induced current or EMF. One is Lenz's law, that already we have known, and second is Fleming right hand rule. Okay. There are certain situations where we apply Lenz's law, the other situation where we apply Fleming right hand rule. It's very simple to remember. It's easier. We can apply both in certain cases, but it's easier to apply Lenz's law when we have a closed loops. And we apply the Fleming right hand rule when we have an open rod, a metallic rod, a straight rod. It is easier to apply. This is already written. You can read these points. Two things already you have discussed to change the flux, that is B and A. Now we'll discuss third case, that is angle, means orientation. We know the formula of flux, that is NBA cos theta for the n turns of loop. Suppose we take P, Q, R, S loop, which is n turns, and we rotate with the angular speed omega in the magnetic field, which is uniform magnetic field. You can see this is uniform magnetic field. So what is the flux linked to the loop? That is NBA cos theta. Theta is varied here because obviously when it will rotate, the normal will change. The area vector, that is n cap, will change the angle theta with B vector. So here neither A nor B, but angle is changing. Theta is what? Omega t. Phi is NBA cos omega t. The replace value. If I differentiate this, because the EMF as per Faraday law is what? Minus d phi by dt. Now if I differentiate flux here, NBA is constant. It will remain as it is. Cos differentiation is minus sign, and omega t is here. So second differential, omega also become multiple. So minus of the Faraday law and minus of the cos differentiation will get plus, and we'll get answer finally as E equal to NBA omega sine omega t. And NBA omega is constant, so they are taken as a peak value as E naught, maximum EMF. This is used generally in generators. The EMF induced in the generator is sine function, right, of time. So you can see the graph here, sine starts from 0. So the graph for the EMF induced is as shown in the board. Next topic, eddy currents, or also known as Foucault's current. Eddy currents are nothing but the current induced in the bulk of conductor whenever magnetic flux linked to it changes. It's according to the Faraday's law. But difference is that these currents are in the bulk of conductor, while previous case what we studied till now, in that we have taken a metal rod or a loop. So we can easily understand the direction of current in that. But in this one, if we take a thick metal, a sphere, a cube, a cylinder, and if we pass out the magnetic flux and change it, the current is induced within it in circular form. That are eddy currents. The nature is same as per the Faraday law. It follows Faraday law. It opposes a change in flux. The current induced opposes change in flux. So eddy currents, Foucault's currents, these are actually used in many of the appliances in many situations. These applications are mentioned on the board here. You can read out that. These uses can be asked in the board exam for hardly 1 mark. So just remember the uses. One more point is here, how can we reduce eddy current? Because certain situations we won't need eddy currents. Eddy currents are helpful also. Eddy currents are sometimes it creates problem also. So how can we reduce it? Reducing is by perforating or creating slots in metal sheet, or you can say connecting insulated sheets. Like in case of transformer next chapter of ACE chapter will study. In that you will come to know why transformer core is made up of thin metal sheets which are coated and then compiled to form a thick metal body core. Next topic, self-inductance. Induction means to induce current. Self-induction to induce itself. So what is self-induction? It is a phenomena of inducing EMF in self-coil due to change in current and hence the change in magnetic flux in the coil. So the point is simple that you have taken a coil. In the coil current is changing. The current is given, not induced. It is given to it. It is passing through it from the other source. That current is changing. Changing current also creates flux. That flux is also changing because current is changing. So that flux change will be opposed by the back EMF. This property is known as self-inductance. Now here we'll go for the certain kind of formula. The flux is proportional to current. Which current is this? Which we are given by the other source, external source. What is phi? It is a flux linked to the coil, produced by the coil also. If we change equal to, constant is there, that is known as L. L is known as coefficient of self-inductance. So if I define L, so a simple thing, remember, constants in physics to define is very, very easy. The simple thing is that take all the possible parameters, quantities which you can take as a unit, you can choose as a unit value. Like your current can be taken as 1 ampere, you get 1, so L equal to phi. So what is the definition of the coefficient of self-inductance? Self-inductance is defined as magnetic flux linked with the coil when unit current flows through it. There is one more way to define. If I apply Faraday's law, it is E equal to minus d phi by dt. If I put value of phi, it is minus L di by dt. This is very important formula. Remember, in next chapter it will be useful. So if I define L by this formula of Faraday's law, if I define L, I will take di by dt as 1. The rate of change of current is 1. So L equal to E. So what will be the self-inductance? It is defined as an induced EMF set up in the coil through which the rate of change of current is unity. Rate of change of current is unity. In exam, if they ask to define self-inductance or coefficient of self-inductance, you can answer by any one of these one, whichever feel easy to answer. Next, self-inductance, we know very well. Okay, now we'll find out the magnetic field. Using magnetic field, we'll find the self-inductance value, L formula we'll find out. Okay, L unit is Henry. So what is 1 Henry? We know phi equal to Li. We need here 1 Henry. So obviously current should be 1 ampere, flux should be 1 Weber. So self-inductance is said to be 1 Henry when 1 ampere current in a coil links magnetic flux of 1 Weber. Okay? Or either, if we go by this formula, E is equal to minus L di by dt. In this, if I want L as a 1 Henry, di by dt is 1 and EMF is also 1. So, self-inductance is said to be 1 Henry when unit rate of change of current, that means di by dt is 1 ampere per second, induces EMF of 1 volt in the coil. So 1 Henry, there are two definitions. If they ask in exam, you can answer by any one of these, whichever you feel easy to answer. Now let us find the formula for L. We know very well from the previous chapter, magnetism, the magnetic field by the solenoid is B equal to mu naught Ni. Flux is NBA. If you replace value of B into that, we'll get a new formula of flux is mu naught N square Ia by L. Now how it came is simple. Remember, small n is capital N by L. So we have replaced this value of small n as capital N by L here. Now we know phi equal to Li. So if we just equate these two, this term and this term, we'll get L equal to mu naught N square A by L, or if I put capital N as NL, we'll get here mu naught N square AL. So these two formulas, any one of those, basically we use N square AL formula. Any one of these you can be used. What is energy stored in the inductor? This is very small derivation. You can easily understand from this part I explained here. Work done is what? It is force on displacement. Okay? Or you can say what is work? V into I, VI dt. So EMF into current into dt for the small work dW. Fine? they put the value of E in this, that is minus L di by dt. You'll get term dw equal to L I di. And further if you integrate, we'll get the answer half Li square. The answer is half Li square. This energy is stored in the inductor. Similar like capacitor. If you remember, in that also we have done QV. And using that we have derived the formula for capacitor. It comes as half CV square. And here it comes half Li square. Next, mutual inductance. Mutual means whenever the more than one thing comes into contact, that is mutual understanding we say in like that. So mutual induction. So there are two coils here. This one is primary, in which current is passed. This one is secondary, in which current is induced. Similar like the Faraday's first experiment. Here we pass current in one, second is induced. So this current induction of current in the another coil, when current is passed in the or changing current is done in the primary coil, that is known as mutual induction. So mutual induction is the phenomena of inducing EMF in the secondary coil due to change in the current in the primary coil, and hence the change in the magnetic flux in the secondary coil. Derivation is similar like self-inductance. Just remember, simple thing is that here you have to mention which coil and where. Like they have mentioned here, phi 21 equal to proportional to I1. Phi 21 means 2 means secondary, 1 means primary. So phi 21 is flux linked to secondary coil with respect to primary coil due to current in primary coil, that is I1. That's why they have taken here phi 21 equal to proportional to I1. If we take is equal to, a constant comes here, similar like in the self-inductance, Mi. M is known as coefficient of self-inductance. If you want to define M, that is mutual inductance, its unit is Henry. Similar kind of definitions you'll get easily here also. You can compare to the self-inductance, understand that it's not a big task. It's all mostly similar things. 1 Henry is defined here also in terms of mutual inductance. So if in the exam they ask for 1 Henry, you have now 4 options. You can answer in terms of self-inductance, or you can answer in the case of mutual inductance if they ask only 1 Henry to answer. If the supporting question is here, where they are defined first self-inductance, to ask defined to self-inductance 1 Henry, then you have to define 1 Henry by self-inductance only. Now, derivation for the mutual inductance, that is M formula, that is L formula we have already done, that is mu naught n square AL, small n square AL. Now, we will do for the mutual inductance, that is capital M. Remember 3 things in this, whether it's self or the mutual. Flux formula is BA. Cos theta, generally theta is 0, cos 0 1 we assume here. Second is, by the solenoid B is equal to mu naught n I. And third one formula is phi equal to, if you are doing self-inductance Li, here you are doing for the mutual inductance, so here Mi. These 3 formulas combination will give the answer of M or L, always remember. Whether it's self. If self is there is no confusions of 1 and 2. So, let us start with first. Magnetic field by the primary coil, that is B1 equal to mu naught N1 I1. Obviously B1 is produced, I1 is equal to the primary, so B1 is produced by that. Phi 21 means flux linked to secondary coil with respect to primary coil. So phi 21 is B1A. Area, we assume that both coils are coaxial, like shown in the figure here. Area is commonly shared, so B1A. They replace the value in that of B1 into, we have got phi 21. Now we know very well phi 21 is what? Mi1. Phi 21 is Mi1, or you can say M21I1. So they replace value phi 21, this value and this value both are equated. After equating, we'll get the answer M21 is equal to mu naught N1 into AL. Similarly, we'll get M12 also. M12 means, suppose in the case of primary, now secondary we are giving current and primary current is induced. So all 1 and 2 will change. We'll get the similar answer because here N1 and 2 both are coming to product. So we'll get mu naught N1 into AL. So from this we can prove that from primary secondary they are coaxial, common length they have, then the mutual inductance whether you give current the 1 or the second is always same. Board exam they may ask you to prove that mutual inductance for the 2 coaxial coils are always same, means M equal to M12 equal to M21. Or they may ask you, derive the formula for the mutual inductance for two coaxial coils. In that case also you have to do the same thing. Next, some additional information. If two solenoids are wound in the magnetic core of relative permeability mu r, then obviously wherever mu r will come in any of the formula, relative permeability is there, always multiply to mu naught, you will get a complete answer. If solenoids N1, S1, S2 have number of turns N1, N2 of different radii, then, so this here R1 is smaller than R2. R1 is smaller than R2. So obviously the smaller coil, which is R1 radius, will cover up the whole area, which is common volume, common area between the two coils. So we take a pi R1 square. Its square is here, it's misprint, it should be 2 above. It is pi R1 square. Mutual inductance depends also on a relative placement of the solenoids, means how they are placed. They are placed perpendicular, they are placed parallel, or certain angle. Obviously flux link will change, so mutual inductance value will also change. Coefficient of coupling between two coils having self-inductance L1 and L2 and mutual inductance M is. This is a formula. Just to remember, it's in NCERT. The formula is useful. The derivation is not in your course. K is equal to M by root L1 L2. If L1 and L2 are in series, then this is a formula. If they're parallel, similar like a resistance. If series is there, you can prove it easily by using the formula E is equal to L di by dt. This formula can be used easily to prove the series parallel combinations. You know, series current is same and parallel voltage is same. Thank you.